Woo! Hello everybody and welcome to the Gaming Grappler, or more likely the Manga Grappler, because for today's video, I'm going to be stepping out of my comfort zone of video games and mixed martial arts to talk about my favorite manga of all time, Berserk. And for those that don't know, Berserk is a fantasy manga that follows our main character Guts from childhood to adulthood as he struggles to survive in one of the darkest and most nihilistic fantasy settings out there. I cannot express this enough. The world of Berserk is darker than Game of Thrones or whatever edgy Netflix show you're watching at this moment. Anything that's bad that can happen in Berserk does happen. This is a world that doesn't shy away from talking about themes of violence, gore, sexual assault, and the emotional and psychological trauma. All of those things due to a person. Berserk explores those themes and does it in extreme detail. So if you don't have the stomach for that, you have been warned. But if you do, you should definitely stick around, because Berserk is not just one of the most well-written stories out there, it's one of the most well-illustrated art forms ever put to the medium. I'm just going to say this up front. Kentaro Miura, the man who both wrote and drew Berserk, is the best artist we've had in the last 500 years. That is not hyperbole or over-exaggeration. I will fucking stand by that statement. It's pretty self-evident that when you read Berserk, that Kentaro Miura is a perfectionist. When you look at every panel in Berserk, Kentaro Miura does not take any shortcuts whatsoever. This is the type of guy that draws every single individual shingle on a rooftop. He draws every single scale on a dragon or a hydra monster. He draws every single blade of grass. I mean, just look at some of these 2-page war spreads where he puts all the details into every single soldier on the battlefield. There's sometimes like 500 people on a panel sometimes, so that's pretty intense. But if that wasn't enough for you, if you open up these spreads in a photo editor and you zoom in on the background, you look at some of the arrows, you'll notice that he didn't half-ass any of these arrows. He did all these arrows in extreme detail. And this detail isn't just in things in the background that you're not even going to notice without a photo editing program. It's on our main character. Guts wears one of the most detailed and intricate armor designs in all of fantasy. The Berserker armor is one of the most complicated things you could possibly draw. Don't take my word for it. Look up some time-lapse videos on YouTube of fan artists drawing their own version of the Berserker armor. It just looks like a complete nightmare. And this is what our main character is wearing. Our main character who has most of the screen time in all of Berserk. Our main character who is most prominent in most of the action scenes in Berserk. And there's a lot of action in these scenes. And to be fair, Kentaro Miura did take some shortcuts every now and then where he would cover up Guts in a cape. But for the most part, whenever those action scenes happen and whenever it's necessary to see that armor prominently and on display, he does not shy away from it. He shows the Berserker armor in all its glory when he's supposed to be doing that. And he did not have to do that for his main character, but that's the kind of perfectionist that Kentaro Miura is. He won't take anything less than 100%. He made one of the most intricate and complicated armor designs out there and gave it to his main character, knowing that it would probably double his workload. That's the kind of guy we're talking about here. Miura was not just talented in the drawing department, he was also talented in the writing department. Guts is one of the most well-written protagonists in all of fiction. At first glance, you would think that Guts just looks like a mix of Conan the Barbarian and Kenshiro from Fist of the North Star. He looks like the type of character that would just make an edgy one-liner while he kills everything in front of him. But you would be completely wrong. As you read Berserk, you'll notice that Guts is more of an introspective and quiet type of character. And he only turns into that Berserker type of character when his life is threatened and when it is absolutely necessary for survival. He does it when he's backed into a corner. Most of the time, he is introspective. He's a character that suffers from psychological trauma. He's a character that has a hard time forming relationships. And he's the type of person to make meditative decisions on where he wants to go with his life. It's something that feels very relatable when he makes the decision to forge his own path instead of just sticking with his friends. He also has to make decisions whether he wants to value getting revenge or his loved ones near him. And he just gets stuck at these crossroads where he has to just take a minute and think. And it just feels very real to me. But what I'm saying just doesn't do the character justice. I could make an entire 7-part video series on what makes Guts such a good character, and that still wouldn't be enough. Just take my word from it. All right, so we're 5 minutes into the video, and I think I've laid enough groundwork to get the main point across that Kentaro Miura is a damn good artist and a pretty competent story writer. So the main question I gotta ask now is it a good idea to continue Berserk without the genius that is Kentaro Miura? And the reason why I have to ask that question is because, unfortunately, Kentaro Miura is not with us anymore. He died young in his 50s due to having a bad heart. And it was one of those things that when I first found out about it, it immediately hit me in the gut. And it hit me in the gut because Berserk was one of the first stories I've ever read where the characters weren't just relatable, but they felt like real people. So I really was invested into the story. And while being invested in the story, I can't help but feel that Kentaro Miura put himself into a lot of the characters. I kind of felt like I got to know Kentaro Miura as a person. Just look at our main character, Guts. Guts is a character who has a good work ethic. He's always training and trying to craft himself to be the best swordsman he can possibly be. And Kentaro Miura was kind of like the artist version of Guts. He would lock himself in his manga dungeon where he would slave away as a perfectionist, trying to make Berserk as good as he possibly could. And I can't help but feel that that came at a cost to his health. I mean, our main character Guts in this story always gets Pyrrhic victories where he wins a fight, but at the cost to his personal health, where he'll break limbs or bones. The guy rarely gets a decent night's rest because he's always accosted and attacked by demons while he's trying to sleep. Kentaro Miura was notorious for only getting 4 hours of sleep per night. He went 2 years at one point without having a phone because he lost himself in his work so much. He said he went through his 30s without developing his personal relationships that much. So I kind of get the feeling that Kentaro Miura was like the artist version of Nikola Tesla, where he lost himself at his work. And hey everybody, Gaming Grappler from the future here, and I just want to make a quick little correction here in post-editing. It is in dispute whether Kentaro Miura had an unhealthy work life. His chief manga assistant, Kurosaki, alleges that Kentaro Miura had a healthy work-life balance, while other sources like Comic Book Resources allege that acute aortic dissection is a heart condition that is common amongst mangaka who are stressed and overworked. So I'm going to leave both articles in the description, and you be the judge as to who you think is more correct. Really the cost of genius. And I don't think that it's fucking possible for any other human to measure up to his artwork without giving up what he had to give up. But that being said, I don't think it's a bad thing that Berserk is continuing without Kentaro Miura. And so let me just raise my arguments. Now, my first reason is that even if Kentaro Miura did not pass on, even if he was still with us, I feel that at this point in his career, he would offload a lot of the labor onto his assistants. I think that's what he was leading up to, because he basically did about 70 to 80% of Berserk all on his own. Now, Berserk is mostly finished at this point. Again, it's quoted as being 70 to 80% done, and he did most of that work by himself. His assistants say that he did 90% of all the artwork, and some of them even argue he did 99% of the artwork. So I think the man had paid his due, and I think he was going to offload a lot of that labor onto his assistants by necessity, because again, it came at such a high cost to his health. So I think that if we were ever going to see the ending of Berserk, it would have to be mostly drawn by his assistants. By necessity, I think that's the only way it could reasonably be done. Now, unfortunately, that decision has been made for us because, again, Kentaro Miura is not with us. And for those that don't know, Studio Gaga, the main studio behind Berserk that, again, gave Kentaro Miura his funding and published his magazine, has decided to continue on Berserk. And basically how it's going to work is his manga assistants are now going to draw and write the rest of his story under the guidance of Kouji Mori. And who is Kouji Mori? Kouji Mori is also a mangaka, and he is Kentaro Miura's best friend. And as fellow mangaka, Kentaro Miura and Kouji Mori had a deep and personal relationship where they trusted each other, and they would shoot ideas about the direction of where they should take their stories to each other. And as a result of that, Kouji Mori, due to his close relationship with Kentaro Miura, knows the ending of Berserk, and he is guiding these assistants to deliver the story's conclusion as good as they possibly could. At the end of the day, I think that this is the best case scenario if you want to see Berserk finished while still being as authentic as possible to Kentaro Miura's vision. This is a project that's being concluded by Kentaro Miura's own handpicked assistants, guided by his best friend Kouji Mori. So I can't really think of any better hands for this project to be finished with. So the final question we're left with is this what Kentaro Miura would have wanted? Would he have wanted the series to end in its current state and just be considered his own personal magnum opus that showcases his amazing art talents? Or would he have wanted the series to end by any means necessary because he was so invested in getting this story and project completed in its best possible form? Well, we can never really know the answer to that, and we can only speculate and give our opinion. One could argue that Kentaro Miura was such a perfectionist that he wouldn't want anyone else to finish this series. He would want to see the series off on his own terms. But you could also say that Kentaro Miura, in his later years, was getting more laid back, and he was preparing his assistants to take up more of the workload so he could finish the series as properly as possible. Or you could also say that he was so invested in this series, that he put so much blood, sweat, tears, and effort that it would all be a waste if it never reached its conclusion. We can never really know which of these two options he would have went with, but in my opinion, I think that it's a waste just to see a series never reach its climax after a man has sacrificed just so much to get it where it is in its current form. Really, we're never going to know if it was a good idea to finish Berserk without Kentaro Miura until we've had a good year of solid and consistent releases by his team of assistants. We don't know if they'll be able to write characters on the same level that Kentaro Miura was able to. We don't know if Guts will feel like Guts or Casca will feel like Casca, or if they'll feel like real people, which was one of the main reasons why I love this series so much. We don't know if Kouji Mori can guide this team to ending the plot and the story in a satisfying manner. And we don't know if they'll be able to fill the void that Kentaro Miura left behind when he unfortunately passed on. We don't know if their art skills can measure up to his high standard. As of this recording, 2 new chapters of Berserk have been released, and these 2 chapters aren't primarily dialogue heavy, they're action focused. So I'm just going to say this up front, massive spoilers from here on out. If you don't want to be spoiled, kill this video, hit the X button, but please like, comment, and subscribe because, man, this channel could use all the help it can get. I'm struggling here. That being said, from here on out, massive spoilers. You have been warned. So shit is going down in Berserk right now. Griffith and Nosferatu Zod are attacking Guts and Griffith at Elf Island. Guts is going berserk. It's going down. So here's where we're at right now in the story. There's obviously not a lot of dialogue happening right now, so I can't judge the team's character writing, but there are 2 chapters of artwork, and I want to say I was pleasantly surprised with what they got. Now, that being said, I also lowered my standards accordingly. I lowered my standards knowing that the artwork was never, ever going to be as good as it was with Kentaro Miura. But that being said, I thought that his team of assistants did a good job of emulating Kentaro Miura's artwork and staying on model. I also thought that they didn't take any shortcuts. They drew Guts' Berserker armor in its full entirety, and they did a lot of interesting things that I didn't think I would see again. Like, for starters, when Guts is in his Berserker rage trying to kill Griffith, he is once again covered in shadows with only his eye visible, which is something that we used to see Guts do a lot in the Black Swordsman arc and the Lost Children arc when he was going completely mental. And I didn't think we would see that Devilman-inspired art style ever again. I thought that Kentaro Miura was retiring that stylization of drawing his characters. So I don't know if this is something that he was going to bring back for Guts' showdown with Griffith, or if this is something that his assistants, being fans of Kentaro Miura, just decide to bring back as fanboys. It's one of those interesting things I'm going to be thinking about as this series continues. So that being said, I thought the artwork was serviceable. Again, serviceable because it's never going to be as good as what Kentaro Miura did. But that being said, I liked what I saw, and if they can maintain this from start to finish, I think we'll be pretty satisfied. Again, we don't know if they'll be able to write characters or write dialogue, or if they can really nail the story properly. We don't know. This is all up in the air and completely mysterious, but I'll keep you posted for what I think. So this has been the Gaming Grappler. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun making it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one, everybody.